The Vedic sacrifice consists of three features: omitting for the moment the god and the mantra, the persons who offer, the offering, and the fruits of the offering. If the yajna is the action consecrated to the gods, I could not but take the yajamana, the giver of the sacrifice, as the doer of the action. Yajna is works, internal or external. The yajamana must be the soul or the person or the personality as the doer. But there were also the officiating priests, Ota, Revij, Purohita, Brahma, Advaryu. What was their part in the symbolism? For if we once suppose a symbolic sense for the sacrifice, we must suppose also a symbolic value for each feature of the ceremony. I found that the gods were continually spoken of as priests of the offering, and in many passages it was undisguisedly a non-human power or energy which presided over the sacrifice. I perceived also that throughout Veda, the elements of our personality are themselves continually personified. I had only to apply this rule inversely and to suppose that the person of the priest in the external figure represented in the internal activities figured a non-human power or energy or an element of our personality. It remained to fix the psychological sense of the different priestly offices. Here I found that the Veda itself presented a clue by its philological indications and insistences, such as the use of the word purohita in its separated form with the sense of the representative put in front, and a frequent reference to the god Agni, who symbolizes the divine will or force in humanity that takes up the action in all consecration of works.
Okay. Well, this is about the priests we today read because Selby was also in the class on of the Savitri with Narad, and we read exactly this, the lonely mounts up to heaven the deathless flame, its priests, the souls of dedicated gods. So there are priests of the flame who are the souls of dedicated gods for this endeavor, for this, rising to heaven. They are assisting the flame, giving it force and power and luminosity to rise higher and higher. These are the priests. These are the faculties or functions of the deathless flame. They all belong to him, to Agni, all the gods. This is something interesting to think of. Who are the priests and what is the ritual? Yes? Because these priests later became human beings, doing these functions. But they symbolize that psychological or that spiritual change, the interaction of the gods and the flame. The flame is calling to the gods. He is Hotar. He invokes those powers from within or from above. And they all come as officiating priests for this, moving forward. They are Purohita, they are Ritvik, they are Hotar, they are all of these, Adhavaryu. They are the functions which are needed for the flame to proceed, to rise in consciousness. They all do their works, the gods. They feed the flame with their own internal divine powers. The flame has internal powers, universal powers, which are brought to the surface where he is flaming. Yeah? The flame is flaming on the surface, but within there are many powers which have to be activated for him to proceed, to convert, to transform the surface. And these are the gods. This is very, very consistent vision of the Veda.
So what is the meaning of Hota?
Hota is the one who invokes the powers, the universal powers from within or from above. He is the invoker, yeah, the summoner of the gods. He summons them for their action. From Rudhu, or Hve, Juhoti, or Havayati. Havayati first class, Juhoti third class. And it's quite interesting because it has two meanings, to call and to offer. We spoke about this before. So we have also Havis, very important word, yes. Huta, all these words. Juhoti, which means to make an oblation into the flame, to offer something into the flame, and to call the gods. Into two different classes, the same meaning, yeah? To call and to offer. And truly speaking, offering is calling. When I offer something, I'm calling the divine power. I cannot call the divine power without offering. It makes no sense. Why should I call the divine power if I have nothing to offer? So offering and calling are somewhat the same process. It's two sides of the same coin, let us say. So there is this intrinsic meaning of calling for something, for some celebration, feast, offering, and not for getting from you something. You are not calling, you are going then to the person to ask something. Yajamana is the one who offers. It is our soul, yes?
Correct.
Yajamana is the soul, actually. It's not the body.
Yeah.
The body is being offered. The body, the mind, the vital is that what we will be offering. But yes, soul is the offerer. And the process of offering that means calling and giving oneself, surrendering to this flame. And all the powers flame will invoke and bring in as priests of this transformation is the Agni, yes? The one who receives, who takes this, our offering, and gives it to the transformation. We are the beneficial of this transformation. We are being transformed, yes? As Sri Aurobindo beautifully in this, in Savitri says, here, its priests, the soul of dedicated gods of this deathless flame. Humanity, its house of sacrifice. We are the house of sacrifice. Here, everything happens in our field. The change is taking place. Actually, it's absolutely psychological, and it is exactly how it works. Yes.
Am I right in understanding that that the sacrifice is really like an interaction or a conversation between the soul and its source, and that all the other personalities that might be named are actually just kind of features or qualities of that interaction, facilitators of that interaction that guides us on the path towards the source?
Absolutely. Gods are those personalities of the universal self or universal consciousness, yeah? Which Agni brings into the action here to transform that which we took onto ourselves as Yajamana. And we took onto ourselves our bodies, our vital, our mind. We just dressed ourselves with this, yeah? We are within this formation. And this formation is the offering. Yajamana kindles the flame, brings, offers, makes the offering, calls to the powers to transform these flame. And the gods, or these priests of this sacrifice, They assist Agni in this process of transformation. Absolutely. And by the way, the first line of the Rig Veda, Agni mile purohitam yajnasya devam ritvijam hotaram ratnadhatamam. Agni is all these words, yes? It is Agni who is purohita. It is Agni who is devasya, yajnasya deva. It is Agni who is a ritvijam I invoke. Yeah? Hotaram, the summoner of the gods, and the one who bestows the greatest riches, Ratnadhatamam. So it is him, he in all his faculties. And the priests are just his faculties within his being, because his being goes deep into the universal and transcendental nature. So he draws these forces to the front. He invokes them, summons them, involves them, brings them down. They cannot but obey his command. He is the divine will. They just follow his will, whether they want it or not. They, truly speaking, are not very happy to do it, but because he commands them, he brings them into the action, they just have nothing but to obey and to act. Otherwise, in themselves, they really would rather not come, because they are on that plane where they are happy with their own existence. And he brings them into this narrow, dark existence of the human being and makes them work here, widen the scope, transform this narrowness of human beings, making it more luminous, making it heaven-like. And it's a lot of work for them. It's really sacrificing the gods, as Selby would say, that Rutyaj has that meaning. He is sacrificing here the gods. He doesn't sacrifice us to the gods, as we think. He sacrifices the gods here for us. This is the meaning of the sacrifice.